All right, guys, this will be the draft strategies video. In this video, I'm going to take a look at 5 different draft strategies as well as where they line up in the draft this year. I'm going to put some information on the left and then a mock draft that I did using this strategy on the right. First strategy is hero wide receiver. I like this for positions 1 through 3. I think there are 2 elite wide receivers this year, and you can get them at the top of the draft, obviously. So in this mock draft, you can see I took Ja'Marr Chase with the 101, followed by Bucky Irving, Brock Bowers, and then rounded the roster out with 2 additional running backs. You can see with this roster that even if a running back misses or gets hurt here, you still have two viable players at that position, and you have your top dog wide receiver and your elite tight end. Basically, the only way that this strategy whiffs is if your top dog wide receiver misses. Because then that position will just be horrid. But otherwise, with this strategy, you're set up very well to have a high floor team with opportunity to pop if your wide receiver has a monster week. The next strategy is the hero running back strategy. It has a very similar premise to the hero wide receiver strategy. However, I think the value for this strategy is in picks 3 to 6, that range. You can still get a top running back. In fact, this is where the top running backs should go. And you are hopefully able to still get a high value wide receiver that goes in that batch from like 7 to 14. Hopefully you're able to get one of those guys. If you are not able to get one of those guys there, I would not do this strategy and reach for one of those receivers that goes in the early 20s. Like, you don't want to have your wide receiver 1 be like Ladd McConkey or like T. Higgins if you're going to commit to this hero running back strategy. But with this strategy, you're able to get an elite quarterback or a tight end. In this draft, I just took Josh Allen. But as you can see, this is a very well-balanced roster with a lot of high-value players. And again, the only way this strategy whiffs is if that top-tier running back that you take misses, because then the position is extremely weak. The next draft strategy is the zero running back strategy. I like this strategy at the end of drafts this year. There's a nice wide receiver pocket, like I said, from like 7 to 14. In that range, I would take 2 of these receivers. If there was a year to go zero running back, this is the year. It's set up well at the turn there, and then there's also a lot of running backs late. There's a ton of rookie running backs this year, late in the draft, that you can just hammer running backs like round 5, 6, 7, 8. If you have to, and some of those guys could pop to the point where they meet positional value. The obvious drawback with this strategy is if you are unable to hit a later round running back, you are basically truly reliant on trade or waivers to get that position. So it's pretty high risk, but if like I said, if you're going to do it, this is the year. The floor with the receivers that you can get at the end of, at the 1-2 turn, the floor that provides is probably the highest that it's ever been. The next strategy is the RB trio strategy. This is more for a fantasy manager that likes a higher floor team. Like, this team is likely going to have a great regular season record, but it doesn't really have that power to pop like teams that have top wide receivers. But basically why I like this from 1 to 3 this year is because there are a lot of good running backs at the 2-3 turn. And obviously you can still get a elite QB or tight end at that 2-3 turn as well. The last strategy I'm going to look at is the Neapolitan strategy. I don't know if that's the actual name for it, but it just logically made sense. You're taking 1 player at each starting position in fantasy. Your running back and wide receiver that you take at the 1-2 turn, you need to make sure these are safe players in your mind, because if you're going to take a single position player at QB and tight end, they provide no value as like a lesser role if they miss. Like, there's no QB2, there's no tight end 2. So if you try and draft these players at their ceilings and they miss, they provide almost no value. All right, so wrapping things up here, this is just a positional draft guide for each strategy. Again, these are my recommendations. You can try any of these strategies from any spots, but these are just through mock drafts and through the fantasy people that I follow, these are where I think these strategies will do the best. The bottom row is just best available. Best available, it's a good strategy at any spot, really, if you are pretty in tune with how to combine different combinations of players. But I really like it from 4 to 6 because at the ends of the draft where your picks are a little bit closer together, if you have a strategy going into the draft of what you want to attack, you can create an advantage for yourself. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to cover. The only other update I have is the buy-in has been confirmed at $100, so that's pretty exciting this year. That's all I got, so I will see you guys at the draft on Sunday.